fun.
Hello friends, and welcome back to another wonderful day of LCS Challengers presented by Toro, and of course welcome to our new sponsor, Subway. This playoffs has been going around wonderfully, and today, well, we got our upper finals. It's gonna be a great day, guys, and even greater too, because joining us on the desk today, we have Dark Wings. Wow, all right, I'm just gonna, you know how we were talking about, like, hey, if you're gonna mess up, like, you can't be worse than anything what we do. There you go, right out of the gate. How are you doing, friend?
I'm doing great, you know. I mean, I'm chilling. Not much to do much now.
Oh, no, that bummer. No, you get to join us. I feel like, hey, we get to, maybe you're out of the bracket, but you're still doing what the others are, and you get to be on the broadcast and deliver your, like, top tier analysis takes. And of course, if we're talking about top tier, I mean, we do have our wonderful casters here on broadcast too. Mazel, Cubby, you were here yesterday. We're in the business of eliminating teams then, but today we get to send a team onto our grand finals.
It was a hectic middle of last week as we had both TLC and FlyC get upset by Fear and Disguised. We're guaranteed to have a non-LCS affiliate book their ticket to LA today. I know that fans of Disguise, the Patreon subscribers, want to see that team on the stage, and also Fear. Hell of a story from them taking top 4 now in both splits as they try and book their tickets from their boot camp in Cleveland all the way to LA to make it out here. Really excited to see who earns the right to do so today.
That's what I was gonna say. The boot camp kind of OP. I don't know. Things are going well, and I'm just happy that we will get to send and book some tickets to LA today for 5 of these guys.
100%. And of course, the grand finals, figuring out who's going to win the whole thing is the most exciting part. But there'll be a couple of things happening there. Of course, our final round of voting for Play the Split, which we're determining now. So all throughout the split, we've been picking up the top plays. And here is our bracket on which plays are trying to make their way to be voted on in our live finals. And today, we're going to be looking at that round 1, that lower end between Perry's Penta and Quack Revisited. First, we gotta check out the clips, though. So first off, here's Perry's Penta.
Crystal?
Okay,
I'm watching. It's okay.
I mean,
I'm
going.
It's good.
Okay, look at Ivan.
I'll call you Charm.
Think about Ivan. Okay, just chill. Front to back here with me.
Yeah. Yep.
I got him.
Charm in 3.
I'm going.
3, 2, 1. I have
Let's go.
It's Penta for me.
Yeah. Okay, Penta,
It's Penta, guys! Please!
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
I just want to vote on that one based off
It
the
never
comms
gets
alone.
old. It never gets old.
Dark Wings, have your comms ever been that chaotic on the team? Going after anything, Penta on the line?
Yeah, if we're winning a team fight really hard, then yeah, it's gonna be like that.
All right, so sometimes it's just the thing, but unfortunately we don't have the fantastic team comms in our next one, but we do have an awesome play with that clip going up against Quack Revisited.
So, because it's still just a static shift, even how impressive that is. And now Quacker, here he comes. He's got that dominance, and he's looking at a 1v4. He can't get Trevor. Trevor can't get to him, but he still takes down the kills. And Quacker is a monster!
This Croc is online. Quacker keeps making plays, and it is an overwhelming success for Supernova.
Maybe it wasn't the team comms, but Mazel, you got to throw that one too a little bit. A pretty fire play.
I will say Quacker has been an unsung hero, I feel like, for Supernova. But he also just had multiple Play of the Week nominations, so it was really cool to see.
It was so great. And of course, in chat, this is your opportunity to vote for which play you want to be seen, making it just a little bit further along in our bracket. Voting's only give you a few minutes, so get your votes in now. So then keep moving on the competition and try and be the best play overall in the split. And while we get all of that sorted and while we get the voting in, there's a lot of finales that have been happening, and one of them is the On the Range finale here. So let's check this out and how the cows are moving along.
Welcome to another episode of On the Range. We're getting close to the end of the playoff trail, and Riot Games Arena Finals right around the corner. Let's go ahead and check in how our critters are doing, shall we? Now, Meech is known to have some of the fastest hands in this here drive, and he'll put you in the grave faster than a horse can say, nay! You see, me and Fear, we've been working on some communication. Guys, you're going off the deep end again. What did we talk about? I told you to come. Guys, not again. You can't do this again. I'm literally just here to help. Oh my God! Gosh, my boy Bradley ain't just here for funsies. He's a two-time champion along this here drive, and he's looking for a third medallion to put around his neck. Spyrax may be a bit bloody here, but just like his team, his fate ain't sealed so easily. He's carving them up just like a butcher on delivery day. Now, we've seen some of the best, but this rodeo is going live at the Riot Games Arena. We'll see you there, and we'll see you next time on the Range. Get a little bit back to our roots there on the range. A little bit of fun, but also showing off some plays. The craziest part is that Penta with the comms, that was another Penta. That was a recent Penta as well. So comms stay pretty loud for Fear over there.
They do. But if that's who we're going to be talking about, if we're going to revisit the loud comms, because our winner, moving on into the next stage of our play of the split bracket, well, it is going to be Perry's Penta. So,
of course,
congratulations. I mean, Darkwings, looking at the two clips, are you really too surprised on this one?
Yeah, I guess not. The comm hype is too much.
The comm hype versus mechanics.
It's different. It's different, all right? So, don't get sun on this one, but Cubby, just what a play.
Do we have to recreate the comms now?
No, please, for the
Do
love
we
of God.
not have to?
Penta,
I'll
Penta,
start
Penta.
Darkwings. You got me back, all right? Penta. Let's go.
Cubby's worst nightmare right here, right now.
I gotta say, I really have to praise. I don't think we've talked enough about the patience that Furious coaches have. These are the comms they have to listen to.
The patience that JJ has. I know Darkwings, you know JJ pretty well. Was he as calm as this? Like, is he able to rein him in?
I would hope so.
Well, maybe going on to today's match, we can get a couple of moments like that, of course, because we are here for our summer playoffs, and all of this has to deliver here. As of course, we are in those upper finals. It's going to be Cincinnati Fear going up against DSG. And honestly, how this whole bracket is shaken up has been nothing short of just absolutely fantastic. I definitely don't think when we were sitting down, Cubby, at the beginning of the split of where we were ranking teams, this is where I would put a playoff bracket, but I am so pleasantly surprised with how the split's gone.
No, and I think coming in here, like, this was the playoff. I've been covering this level of play now for 5 splits. And for me, this was the playoff that out of all 5 splits, this has been the most competitive set of teams as a whole. I really felt like there were truly 7 teams that could do damage in this bracket. And to see Fear and Disguise do so well, e.g., calling them a dark horse is really a disservice to like the talent that they have over there and how well they came together at the end of the year. I really felt like, you know, this was a bracket that was going to have upsets, was going to be very competitive, and it's delivered, much thanks to the 2 teams that we're going to be seeing go toe-to-toe today.
Yeah, and Darkwings, I want to ask you as well, of course, going up against these teams firsthand and being able to have the chance to play against them and seeing how far they're going, is there anything here that really stands out to you as, like, really surprising? Because I know as a broadcast, we were quite surprised at the fact that TLC got eliminated yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, TLC getting eliminated. I think Fear also performing really well. They also eliminated TLC. So, I mean, I think those 2 are the most surprising up here right now. But I think they're all playing really well. So I think anyone can win out of these 4 teams.
That's always exciting when we get that point of playoffs where anybody can win. But let's talk a little bit more about Fear, because I mean, Cincinnati Fear was kind of a team that defied a lot of expectations ever since we've gotten to see them in Challengers. But beginning of the year, a little bit of struggles. They fixed it, and they're back stronger than ever. Honestly, Mazel, this team's been on a tear.
They have. If you haven't caught the Shochi, you should buy tickets today, because Shochi has been on an absolute tear. The combination with him and Perry has been incredible to watch. But for me as well in the playoffs, it's been not just our 2 guys who've been popping off all split. It's been the rest of the team around them. I think Manui showing a lot of flexibility in the AD carry role, but Philip, when he gets renekted, this man looks like a different beast. So I'm really excited to see what they can bring to us today, even with some of the maybe trials and tribulations they had this morning.
Yeah, and I know that from talking with Shochi last week, Darkwings, maybe you can speak on this, but he felt like, he said, hey, I feel like I'm the strongest mid laner that is in the league, but also my team enables me to 1v9. It really feels apparent that Fear plays like that. And I guess a mid laner, what does it feel like when you don't get those resources and then kind of you have that onus on your shoulder, Darkwings?
Yeah, especially if you're playing like carry champions, like Shochi's been playing a lot. Your team's like kind of like playing around you, like mid jungle support, even like top lane can play around you, like sometimes giving you like they're gonna play the weak side, you're gonna play the strong side in side lane, and then yeah, you can be enabled to 1v9 games. You're getting all the resources.
And I mean, it has definitely worked for Cincinnati Fear, being able to have all the bundled in those resources mid lane. But they're going up against a tough opponent today.
Oh my god,
we got certs!
In Disguise, we got... I love this. I love this. So we got the actual players, but we got the shirts, the throwbacks of the pictures before. This is good stuff myself.
This is actually incredible, but you know what else is incredible? Having 3 champions from Spring come into your roster to help form a stable ground, right? We've talked so much about this roster, let alone Fake God, Tomio, and Zazel's championship last split with Cloud9. But Young and Meech, 2 of our most mechanically minded players, coming into this roster has been really cool to see them gel. And we've heard from Zazel, that dual coaching approach with him and Golden Glue has been working really well.
Did Meech request a V-neck here? I'm kind of curious, how things went.
He seems like a V-neck kind of guy, I feel like. I'm just saying.
Guys.
I really think that the change for me with this team, moving from regular season closer to playoffs, the games matter more. It really feels like Fakeon and Zazel, the 2 most experienced members of the team, they're dropping themselves so much in priority in the draft, and it really feels like this team is relying on, all right, we get Tomio, Young, and Meech, this narrow set of champions, and then use our experience in wider pools to kind of build things around it. That's been the big change with me for Disguise moving forward.
And as we get to roll some clips and talk a little bit more about Disguised, Darkwings, I want to put you a little bit on the spot with what you think has just been that really big key piece when you're looking at Disguise that they've been able to find these wins with.
Well, definitely the carries, like Young and Meech, both have to like play these team fights really well and kind of like outplay the enemy team. I think when you have like these 2 sets of players who are like playing team fights so well, then it's like, yeah, they'll just win a lot of games through that.
Definitely a power duo there, right, Cubby?
It's really been good to see these guys kind of come into their own. I feel like Disguise, the pieces around Young and Meech play these fights very well too. And this was a great best of 3 between FlyQuest and Disguise. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a rematch in the grand finals, quite frankly, or if we see a best of 5 of this. I would love to say there were a lot of outplays that our individual Challengers players did find in this series. It was back and forth. They were throwing haymakers. But the big difference in the end for me was that Meech was able to actually match Masu. And I think that the pool for Tomio, we'll talk about it more, but giving him this Sejuani Maokai, it really opens things up for Young and his pool in the mid lane, and Disguise made the most of that in this best of 3.
I mean, you're talking about the fact that you're expecting to see a DSG, you're like, not quite expecting, but like you could see a DSG and FlyQuest rematch here in the grand finals. So we're thinking that Disguise has what it takes to take down Fear today. We think this is where it's more skewed, or?
Ooh, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. I think so a little bit. I would favor Disguise. I would say 3-1. I'll talk about it more, but I feel like something that Fear has really started to throw at teams, at least what we saw Fear do to throw TLC off, was those mages bot from Manui. And I have faith that if anyone's going to be able to deal with curveballs in the bot lane well, it's got to be Zeyzal.
All right. And I'm not trying to get too far ahead, but you sounded just so confident with that. Yeah, we could see this rematch. I mean,
want to see a rematch. This is a fun series, yeah.
Just discounted Fear.
I know, right?
Could be lower bracket grand finals. Could be grand finals.
I see.
All right.
They have to
You're
beat
ready
EG.
Sounds kind of
tackle a
sus to
little
me, Dark Wings. I don't know.
bit. Hey, I mean, regardless, Cubby, you're prepared for all the win cons that DSG has going into this, because I believe you have a little segment prepared for us going up next.
Yeah, that's very true. We had to really dig into my specialty as a marketing major, which actually was PowerPoints. So Dark Wings. Here. All right, these two champions, I mentioned them. They were big in that last best of 3. So the reason that these are big, do you guys want to guess what Tomio's win-loss is on these two champions, his 2 most played this split? 21 games. I'll give you guys that hint. How many wins does he have on these two champions? 22 games, I should say.
I'm gonna guess 76%.
76%. That's pretty high. All right, Mazel.
You know what? I'm going all the way, commit to the bit, 92.7%, because I had to add the 7.
19-3.
Oh!
Tomio has been freaking on these two champions. Now, if we move forward, quick transition. Boom. All right, look at that.
Wow.
See, it was
easy,
very
seamless.
Actually, not that bad.
No
Not that bad.
pain.
I couldn't use a PowerPoint for Youngs, but check this, guys.
I'm checking.
We have Melee's Hizakali, 6-1. Silas,
Wow.
5-0. Aurelia, 4-0. We'll throw the Kasance in there for a 0. Jace, 0.
That hurts the average there. I'm just saying.
All I'm going to say is that these Melee champions, the Akali, Silas, and Aurelia, have been so big for Disguised, especially in the back half of the season. Where, if you go to Young, I don't feel that bad doing this live stats segment. This is what Mark in the LCS has done recently as well. Look at how they've narrowed up his champion pool and how melee focused it is in the back half of the split. We've really seen this emerge as melee, super OP, melee, super OP, Azir, melee, assassin, melee. I really feel like this is where Disguise has been leaning with Young and his pool. And for me, I think that if you deny the Sejuani and the Maokai from Disguise, they're going to have to find different answers. So that's why I put a big priority on those two champions. I do not want to see Tomio get his hands on either of them for the entirety of the series. Not only given how proficient Tomio is, where I really want to give Tomio credit, he plays these well, but also how much it opens up the pool for Young and the synergy that it has playing ADs with Maokai or melees with the Sejuani too. You can mix and match as well. So I really want to see Fear be ready for that, have answers for that. I don't want to see it given over, and if it does, they better have something special up their sleeve.
All right, thank you, Abby, for your wonderful. I guess it wasn't really a PowerPoint. It was let's look at that's online, but it was still good. It was still very informative. So great.
I just want to add one little thing. I'm so sorry. It's so like last split with Tomio, where he was leaning to a lot of facilitation as well in the late season. So I'm really interested if we get a kind of a repeat style of that here.
All right, well, we do have to talk more about Fear too, and Mazel, we know that there's some stuff with Cubby counting them out a little bit, but talk to us a little bit more on why Fear should never be counted out.
Yeah, I mean, they took our number 1 seed to task here in their best of 3. I think it was really, really telling, just the level of cohesion that you can see with Fear, the amount of grit they show. Like, these were games that were hard fought. Yes, at these points, there is an incredible lead for Fear, but it was something that was built, right? And, like, the way that they finish games, and these are a little bit long clips, but it's showing kind of the way that they work together, they communicate efficiently, and they know how to quickly get to the game ends here. And in this fight in particular, I think it shows that we've talked about it since last split. Perry wants to be the sword, he wants to be that leading foot for Fear, and you see everyone come right behind him in tow. And I think you see that level of cohesion that we've seen from the likes of Maryville were in their highs, things like that Fear are just using so well and striking when the moment is right.
And Darkwings, I do want to ask you, you're a player. I still remember your split when you played with Zeus Gaming in summer. You had 21 champs played in 41 games. You've always had a big pool and you've been able to play a lot of things. But what happens when you have a bot laner that is so proficient as like Minui is on mages. I know you played with Lynx this split. You guys really pioneered that Tristana Zig strat. How does that open things up for you as a mid laner?
Well, it's kind of where if you're playing bot lane, like mages and stuff like that, it's a lot of the lanes are kind of like uninteractive in a sense where, you know, like the support jungle, like they don't really have to go bot unless like they like really need to. And so then a lot of these like more like less lane focused champs that can come out in mid lane because let's say your support jungle can come help you out and stuff like that more often than not. And so like you can get past to the scaling phase, and by that point like you can start carrying games.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
I like that.
And that's what Fear's been leaning on for the majority of
Exactly.
playoffs, and I really think it's going to continue today. So, especially with Shochi being such, you know, a vital part of Fear, I do feel like that really opens him up in the mid lane. So, interested to see how that plays out today against Young.
I'm
Yeah.
interested though, Sierra. I'm gonna take over here because I've got a wonderful graphic I've prepared
You got
to make
one
sure
too.
that everyone knows exactly where to look today. All right, you ready for this one? It's the whole Shochi versus Fear the Beard, my friends. All right, you see all the beards that Zeyzal is throwing. My hands were out on the side, but Zeyzal has been so incredible. We've talked about him already so much. He is a leading force for his team, but he's also got one of the best beards in all of LCS Challengers, maybe even all of LCS. We also have on the other side the whole Shochi, man. This guy has been popping off. He's been getting pentas. He's been able to find a lot of strength. Also, shout out to Fear on Twitter with their little graphic. I had to steal the little Reaper because it works so well. But he's got the scythe ready to trim the beard of Zeyzal. We'll see who comes up on top. But I think these are two extreme focuses for us coming into the matchup today.
I just gotta ask, did you like take those beards off of?
Don't worry
Google,
about
or
it.
you,
I took the
like,
beards from
taking them
somewhere,
off?
you know,
You
Beard
just-
Plus.
you just-
I didn't get them off of people's faces. Don't worry about it.
Alright. I mean, Darkwing's not just looking at the graphic, but that little matchup that Mazal's presenting there. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, based on like what they've been saying, I guess like it's like kind of the leadership. Zeyzal is definitely probably like a huge leader, and so it's kind of like they're facing against each other in terms of like who can control the map better.
Great. I mean, it's definitely going to be a big matchup today between Disguise and Fear. Because reminder, this is our upper finals. Loser just goes down into the lower bracket. There's still another crack at it, but this is the best of 5 in Cubby. The winner of this gets to go on to the live grand finals.
And honestly, I know playing on stage is a really big deal for these guys. It used to be top 4. The fact that we get to sneak into the Riot Games studio for Game 5 is, or I should say finals, is going to be great. And, you know, for a player like Young, who did sub in for Golden Guardians and on that LCS stage while Gory was still getting his visa, and actually turned down the opportunity to be a sub for Golden Guardians so that he could compete with Disguised. I know getting back there would mean a lot to him today, catching up with him before the match. So I'm really excited to see who gets to book their tickets to the studio today.
It's also our first best of 5.
I was about to
It's
say,
a banger.
It's good stuff. Do we think we're getting 5 games, though? That is the real question between these two teams.
Crossing my fingers. I'm hoping here. I really hope that we get a good best of between these two. I think they are two of our strongest teams. The way they approach the game is really interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of 4D chess being played from both sides as well.
Right? Darkwings, are we team, we're going to 5 games, or you think one team's kind of more skewed than the other, might take it in actually 3?
I mean, I think we'll definitely see a lot better based on the first game, but I'm thinking it'd be like a 4-game series. That's what I'm thinking.
Ooh, and whose favor, though?
5?
Whose favor?
I'll put you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm
Whoever
asking all
wins
the
the
hard
first
questions
game.
today. Whoever, okay.
Whoever wins the first game, I think they're gonna win 3-1. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
okay. Covey, what about you down there?
I already put my chips in the Disguise basket.
You're just like,
Yeah.
it's too late. You have a chance.
I mean, I think that Fear, they're gonna challenge Disguise because Fear plays the game in a way that really no other team plays the game in Challengers. I think that all the emphasis that they put onto mid the lack of emphasis they put onto the top side with Philip. Perry's kind of allergic to going up there. But I think that something that Fear does really well is that when opponents make first moves, I think Fear actually responds really well across the map. And a lot of that is led by Perry. So I'm curious to see if Perry can get up in the face of Tomio and if him and JJ can make their second finals as a duo. As keep in mind, last summer, Perry did sub in when XE was promoted to Dignitas LCS, and they were able to actually make it through the upper bracket to make those grand finals. So 2 summers in a row where Perry makes finals would be a huge deal for him.
100%. So I'm just going to go off the wall here. I'm just going to say we're going to get a 3-0 series by Fear. I'm just,
Ooh.
not
Okay.
we're just going to go out there because I'm either wrong and I'm wrong, or I'm right and I'm an absolute genius. But
That would be genius.
it is just the fact that they knocked DLC, the number 1 seed, to the lower bracket, and like the how they did it is comparison to the close game on the other side of the bracket that DSG had. I just feel like Fear is kind of on one right now, so it'll be interesting.
I got
to see.
3-2 Fear, so I'm on the same side at least.
All right. At least we'll know after the first game if my prediction is, wrong out of the gate. As our draft is ready, it's our first one here in our upper finals. I'll see you 3 later.
Welcome one and all to our first best of 5 of LCS Challengers, and especially one that's maybe a prelude to what we could see in finals. We have Dark Wings with us to see what we can glean from just the draft. And going into this, I know I was talking about it earlier a little bit. We've talked a lot about it behind the scenes, Cubby, but the Renekton for Philip, I feel like, is a priority here. We already see, though, DSG banning away the Seraphine, so some respect to Manui, as you were talking about some of that mage gameplay unlocking earlier, Dark Wings.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta ban out the Seraphine for sure.
I really want to see Sejuani Maokai taken away from Fear. Again, we were talking about denying those from Tomio. I think it's going to be really important in this series. And Dark Wings also taking the Rumble away from Fake Out. I know that you guys felt the brunt of that one.
Yeah, we had a talk like in our match during DSG. It was like we're gonna be like, oh, like if a champion pops up that's like so OP and we can't deal with it, like we gotta like adapt. And then it came up and we did not adapt, so lost the second one.
Yeah, that was Rumble was played really well. I think Zazel and him found great snap engages, and we haven't seen Fake Out get his hands on that since. So definitely think that's a good call from Fear. But that Sejuani Maokai are gonna, one of them is gonna be up. So now I'm curious if Fear actually wants to trade them.
I would wonder if they do, because I think there is a lot of strength in giving that trade, because you can choose the side of, okay,
No.
the Maokai's gone. But this is an opportunity for DSG to kind of just first pick this one. Do you see that Dark Wings being a priority here?
Sejuani could be worse considering that LeBlanc and Kai'Sa's up, but I think it'll still be good.
Yeah. All right, so we do get that opt into comfort at least there.
I like that call out on the LeBlanc. Also, I got to say that Poppy's still on the board. That has been one of the more common answers that we have seen into the Sejuani, and something that I think Perry's very proficient at himself. So I expect that from Fear.
Okay, so Philip, there's that Renekton. We get the comfort coming through, and get the Poppy locked in. Something I'm very happy to see Perry willing to grab here in a game number 1. I think it gives you a lot of flexibility in your path, but also some room for uniqueness. I get to see that a lot in the LPL, but I love to see Perry, who is one of our most unique-minded junglers, maybe potentially take an aggressive path with that one. But DSG on the other side now, Cubby, we've got to look at the focuses.
I think that if Fake Out wants Jax, he has to take it now. Is my guess, Dark Wings. But actually going to be the Aatrox. So this is a Fake God specialty pick. We saw it get buffed up. Revenge is very, very had some very, very impressive performances on it in LCS playoffs. And Dark Wings, if you're young, do you feel like you walk in mid here? Do you show in a Kali, or do you maybe just want to take something like a Felio spot?
I mean, honestly, a lot of the melee mids are a bit harder to Poppy, just in general. So I mean, I like that he dropped, but he might still have to take a melee mid later on.
Yeah, I'm just really happy to see Fake God be able to whip out the Aatrox. He's been talking about it for so long, and he wants to bring it out every time he can. The Rel, though, you got the mounted cavalry right now for DSG. I think that can be really strong. That Ziggs, though, could
really
be a potential to unlock Fear and the way that they want to play their composition, and it is locked in.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of specialty here.
I really like the Ziggs pick. Again, Darkwings, I know that we credited you guys for really pioneering the Triss Ziggs comp, and also that Ziggs. I mean, looking at Sejuani, Rel plus Aatrox, that's a really valuable Ziggs game already.
Yeah, I mean, hard engage isn't too insane, and that's kind of like what Ziggs is scared of. So,
Okay.
and we have Poppy to peel for him too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and everyone jumping into things like minefields, bouncing bombs. Leandri's going to be really efficient already, so good game for the Ziggs. And we see, I really like that Alistar ban against JJ. I thought that he was fantastic on that pick against TLC, and a really positive matchup in a rel, which your teammate Breezy talked about a lot yesterday when we had him on the broadcast.
Oh yeah, he really liked that matchup. As for JJ, I think, I mean, he always, well, when I played on team with him, he was always finding like these crazy angles. So I'd like to see him on like something like that, like a Nautilus or something.
Cooking with the angles.
Yeah.
We do have a little bit of catch up though. We got the Yone ban towards Fear, as well as that Akali towards Young, and the Aphelios towards Meech.
Real quick, I think that Yone ban is signaling an Azir, and I like the Rakan lock-in. It pairs well with Ziggs, but also denies, or I should say, yeah, I think it makes it's like not the greatest matchup into Rel, but they have the potential to actually take Xayah and put that Ziggs mid if they really want to.
Oh, let's go.
Sivir's blinded. I will say that Sivir's one of the better mage matchups if you're playing an AD bot, so good to see Meech actually take this. And really interesting now is that's a lot of speed for the melees to help them get through the Ziggs.
Yeah, Darkways, do you have any thoughts on like how? I guess it's more so you have that extra pushing power behind it for the Sivir, but any thoughts on like how that bot lane matchup now goes, since we were talking so much about the flexibility?
I mean, just seems like both sides are like scaling, but Sivir with this comp seems pretty nice, especially with the Aatrox and the Sejuani. The move speed's really gonna help them play these fights better, and it's probably good versus the Ziggs where he has to like land all his stuff.
We got the action, man.
Akshan, oh my
Let's
god.
go. I know I had you and Shochi in our bot game not long ago, but man, were you ever expecting something like this? Like, holy cow.
I didn't think about it, but I was actually looking at his stats earlier, and he did play a game with Akshan like before.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Funnily enough, that was actually against Young and DSG, I believe, when
was?
he did pull that out. It was in a Kali matchup. But this time around, playing it into LeBlanc, it is a positive matchup for Akshan as well. The double autos make a really big difference. I will say, I'm not exactly sure how it interacts with the Shiv LeBlanc, who has a little bit more shove. You can kind of match. Darkwings, have you had any experience with playing this maybe in solo queue?
well, Akshan will still win 1v1, but it's kind of up to kind of like the mid jungle synergy of Young and Tomia to like mess with him. Because if they leave Young alone, then Akshan should win slowly.
Okay, well, we'll see how this mid lane goes down. We are in our first best of 5. It's going to be a little bit of interestingness coming into this one, but we also got to hear a little bit from Shochi, so let's go ahead and check in.
The most important thing I learned over the summer split, at least so far, is kind of how to be more of a leader. Because on the last iteration of Fear, we kind of had like Faisal and Trevor, who were really like veteran, loud, experienced players. And like I'm like kind of experienced, but I've never really had to practice being a leader. So coming into this split, I feel like being more bossy, like more commanding, like being able to push my own leads, and like the leads I generate, making them more meaningful. That's really attributed to our success as a team.
Leadership, it is an important characteristic, especially when you're the whole damn Shochi. We do have really additional information, I guess, there when we're talking about them being in person, being in a boot camp all together. It helps with that cohesion. That's a strength that we've talked so much about for Fear here so far, Cubby.
Yeah, and I know that at least from catching up with actually JJ before we got things going today, your old teammate here at Darkwings, he said, hey, you know, it's been kind of like bootstrapped. Like, we just kind of figured this out as a team. Like, it's not all covered, you know, by sponsors. They actually, you know, had people part of the Fear organization showing out to make sure that this happened. But he said everyone really feels like they're more so on the same page. And he said it's harder to resist their Zoomer energy when everyone's in person. So he's kind of embraced it, which I found pretty funny.
Do you find basis in that Dark Wings? So is it harder to to get away from the Zoomer energy?
Yeah, JJ's usually like a pretty calm person, so definitely see him saying something like that.
Got to get the whippersnappers into shape here now, but we do see a little bit of movement here from the junglers. I want to point out we have that same side pathing, looking at Tomio crossing over mid lane, giving Shochi a little bit of presence, but more so potentially going up towards Fake God here, Cubby, and giving top lane a little bit of love.
Each of our junglers working their way towards the top side. I will say that's a tad bit surprising to me. I also just want to hit on some of the tech that Meech has gone. He is playing into the mage, so actually Meech opting for that TP. I really like this on the Sivir. Sivir is a champion that can actually match the push of mages in the bot side and also can outscale them as that DPSing marksman in team fights. So I think the Sivir definitely blinded, just knowing what Fear like brings out. Aphelios was off the table, one of the better matchups in the Sivir, so I think that was enough. As Young.
Oh,
Nice
couldn't
reaction.
get in there with the steadfast. Shochi takes pretty brunt of the damage as interesting presence towards mid. Both junglers at least showing up, seeing how important that mid lane can be. Got a little bit of trade down here. We do have a skirmish though between Perry and Tomio over the Scuttle Crab. See the strength of Sejuani, especially with that red buff, might just win this one out. Perry's got to be really careful. He's getting a little bit lower, does have to flash the sling.
Young is
Might
back.
have a little bit of fight back. Young is coming back. He's got a lot of distance. He's going in with the flash. He just wants to get first blood for DSG.
Nice chain from Young there, Dark Wings.
Yeah, I mean, based on what happened in mid though.
Shochi. Not going to find it just yet. And Tomio makes it out alive. But yeah, Dark Wings, as you were saying.
There might have been a little bit of miscommunication in terms of like the mid jungle, because based on what happened in mid, Shochi should have been able to get that TP in first, but maybe he wanted to save his TP.
And we'll see how that ends out. But right now, it means that Disguised are in the lead. And it's strength, maybe finding some more through bot lane here. Zazel being pretty clutch on the rel, but a lot of damage being put back here by Meech. And the strength of this bottom lane starting to show itself. Perry is hovering over this way. You have a dragon spawning about 25 seconds. Do you see either side really want to prioritize the objective stacking here, Cubby?
I think the Sivir might actually have shove advantage into the Ziggs, so maybe we see something early as Tomio has a lead. But I think topside is going to be much more interesting and appealing as Renekton's kind of, the nickname for Renekton behind the scenes is, the Herald bot. You draft Renekton, you got to play for first Herald. So that's something that I'm wondering if Disguise actually contests or drops. As Darkwings, I'm kind of interested, any opinions on the neutrals here at priority? I think Disguise with the Sivir shove feels pretty good. Like they can maybe attack a dragon.
I'd say it's hard. I think once Six comes back with Lost Chapter, he doesn't really have to, like, he can start getting pushed now. I think early game with the Tears or the Sapphire Crystal start would have made it hard for him.
Okay, he's gonna have actually unlimited mana. Meech already burned that TP to get back, so I think it's a good call, Darkwings. Unless it's taken on this timer, which I mean that's even hard because the crab's taken. I'm actually kind of surprised that Disguise is starting this, but Harry seems to be on the top side, not contesting. So
yeah.
Disguise is gonna brute force this one away. I'm very curious.
Will be in vision. Young will be there to help, though. Easy early objective for Disguise to pick up. Strength maybe leaning towards later for Fear. Again, we did talk about their strength in team and communication, even though it gets a little bit chaotic sometimes. It is a composition it feels like really comes alive in a mid-game where you can kind of work together.
Darkwings, do you feel like that dragon take, like Disguise felt comfortable with that because Akshan had no flash? We might have to pause. Do you see a dive in the top side? Big doesn't have 6 yet.
He's going to try. I don't know if he's getting the love he wanted up here. He does survive as the juggling goes a bit awry. They're going to try to come back for seconds, though. They've already bitten off enough. Here comes Zazel, though, to save the day, and Fake God gets out of there. Fear's machinations going wide early.
They're rotating up, too. Look at Tomio. They're going to try and cut Perry off. I don't think he's going to get here in time, but still great defense and good call there from Zazel.
Wow, what a way. Darkwings, you see that so much attempts early from Fear, nothing coming up for it. What's the game plan here, especially with this kind of mid lane matchup you got?
Ooh, I mean, they just have to keep trying, but they can't force it. They need to make sure they're in a good spot.
it really feels like to me, like what I was kind of trying to set up with the Dragon, maybe dropping that because the Akshan doesn't have Flash. Because at the moment, this isn't where I expect the Akshan versus the Blanc matchup to be, Darkwings. Akshan's not ahead at all. And I think burning that Flash to chase down Tomio and having that fail actually ended up really hurting.
Yeah. Also, the jungle pathings were like misaligned, I think, because Perry had to go topside while Tomio can just do the dragon, and Perry would be losing camps if he went to contest.
Yeah, the timing just not working out there. We do see, though, a little bit of love up towards this top side of the map with the Rift Herald spawning up very, very shortly. But it is a first look at mid lane, try to get this shoved. JJ on the roam and Zeyzal constantly as well. This is going to be an unlocking factor for both teams. And we talked a little bit before, Cubby, about how Tomio has looked so strong in Sejuani. But a big part of that does come with kind of his roaming duo of Zeyzal and how strong he has been.
I think Zeyzal's rel has been, it's been really good in this tournament. Zeyzal for me is having a great tournament. The Alistar meta always fits Zeyzal. And at the moment, hold on, we gotta pause this, guys. See if Fake God comes over the wall. I think they're waiting for his ult to come back up. We have a TP from
coming
me.
in. Oh goodness,
Oh,
we're looking at a
ult.
potential 5v5 Darkways. This is a little early. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb. The Rift Herald was actually secured by Tomio, but some of the fight is not going DSG's way now that Manui has split it as well. Zeyzal caught out. They do get the objective. They'll lose a life for it, and then two of them as Fake God had also gone down.
Yeah, Meech was never really able to get involved after that TP. That ultimate actually not being popped by Meech, I think hurt a bit. It felt more like a 5v4 as Ziggs, of course, over the top damage is actually able to help out Fear with the fight there, Darklings.
Yeah. I mean, even though the ulti misses, I think Renekton is still the Herald bot you're talking about. This champion looks a bit strong at Herald fights.
It gets a little insane, especially, you know, we've had Philip's track record on Renekton. It was something we were talking about coming into this day, and how strong he looks on this particular champion, and how he's had a heck of a playoff because of it. And now 2-0 already has the Gore Drinker completed. It's going to be a strength from the top lane that Fear can play around.
I do want to credit Fear for the pace of which they took that fight. I think once the Meech TP comes in and it's shown, you gotta go then, or else the play is off. So I think good call from Fear to make sure that they at least were able to fight around that Herald timer where Renekton is really strong on the top side.
So it was a early lead for DSG, but now we see Fear able to plat back a little bit. But I do want to look forward here, and especially Darkwings, get your purview, because how do you expect the LeBlanc to try to take advantage of this Akshan matchup? How do you expect to play into it exactly? Because it feels like, you know, obviously LeBlanc we've seen be a side lane pressure so much here recently.
Yeah, I mean, it's slightly interesting. He's not going for the shift build this time. In terms of the matchup, it's not too hard to go even as LeBlanc, unless you're like, unless Akshan is able to kind of just like fight you past the whip, which is pretty hard to do against like a Sejuani. So as long as he's going even, he can play the fights well, and it should be fine for him.
I think that's a big thing for me, because Shochi is going for that Bork rush, which, I mean, that is all about the side landing Darkling. So I think that the goal here for Fear is to get Shochi in the side, get push, and then use the power of Akshan to kind of fog up, and at least make sure that DSG can attack the side lanes on their own.
Yeah.
We did just get Leandri's also completed for Manui, so some good item completions for Fear earlier on. Do have that Rift Herald spawned up in a bottom lane. Try to give some resources over to Meech at least, but maybe a skirmish coming of it. We get those plates going over, but Zeyzal's caught out a little bit. Doesn't need to back off, but Tomio is right there. The double cavalry comp coming alive. Got to be careful to not get trampled over. It looks like JJ might just end up being dust in the dirt, and Meech gets the kill.
I don't think Fear are ready to fight that. Joshi wanted to go back and keep pushing mid to try to create advantages.
And a couple moments like that so far, actually. And Fear, yes, they had that really nice and fight around Rift Herald, but some slip-ups outside of it we'll have to keep an eye on. A little bit of you know, shakiness going into our first best of 5. But it is Tomio looking for a second dragon for DSG. TP coming in as well from Philip. He's the strong point for Fear, so DSG need to back away now. Meech getting run down by Perry. There goes Philip into the pit. The comeuppance not going to hit, but Meech goes down to Perry anyways.
I mean, Yordle Warfare there on the bot side, just chasing Sivir. No need to find the objective. The Dragon does go over to DSG, and I would love to pan top lane if we could from our observers, because Fake God did not join the fight, and he's at least been able to get one plate top, and is going to proxy that wave. So I think overall, I'd consider that a win if I'm DSG, Darkwings.
Yeah, I would too.
Hey, are you sure? Or are we gonna be sure about
Maybe
that
not
here in about
anymore.
5
Maybe
seconds?
not.
We
Oh.
got the flash forward, and Philip's looking for a third choppy meal, but he can't get him because Aatrox's cooldowns are quicker than that.
Akshan's coming, though. I don't think Shochi's going to find him next to the blast.
He doesn't have the comeuppance either.
That's big.
Yeah.
Empowered TP will get Fake God back to the lane. He won't miss anything. So, yeah, win for DSG. And it really feels like they're Dragon Control rewarding them early here, Darkwings. They've picked the first 2 dragons on really good timers.
Yeah, and it's going to be a Mountain Soul too. This will be good for both teams. Especially DSG, actually, because their team was already so tanky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
playing into Zig's going to be a lot easier with that Mountain Soul, because you just take so much inanimate damage from Ziggs. It feels like wherever you go, you're gonna eat minefields, you're gonna eat satchels, you're gonna eat bombs, here and there. It's tough.
I just also love the double down of wave clear for Meech, the static shiv on the Sivir. Just feels some overkill there, but some great overkill that you want to have into a comp like this, because you're gonna need to defend against sieges really, really well. Philip gonna take the brunt of the damage from DSG here. Gonna have to pop that Dominus, but he might just go down. That stun is just enough. He's healing a ton from that Gore Drinker, and here comes Parry, meaning that Fake God and Tomio back away.
I actually thought they had them there, but I guess Philip just brute force gets out of there as Renekton. Still going to be pressure on the top side, though, for DSG. Could help for the Herald the fact that Sejuani did burn that ultimate. A couple ults are now down across the board, Darkwings. Is that going to be enough for Fear to maybe contest this one?
We'll have to see a little bit more, I think.
Yeah,
See how things develop.
specifically, like, are you looking for, like, pretty much if support rotates up here? Because at the moment we do have JJ sprinting towards the Herald. Madui does have that empowered TP as well as Meech to match, but we saw that if the TPs come in late, that does benefit the Ziggs comp. So it feels like Fear might be going for somewhat of a similar setup here.
Actually, Fear should definitely be favored in this fight. If you're looking at the items right now, Shochi's on his item. I think Young's still stuck on.
Magnet
Never mind.
Storm from Zazel. Yeah, it doesn't
bad.
matter anymore. DSG have struck in mid lane. That's 2 down. That just means a Rift Herald.
Oh, man, that's the second time it really feels like JJ's been caught a little bit by Zazel. That's going to cost them that objective. As this Rel, it's a matchup. I know talking with Breezy yesterday, he liked Rel into Rakan if there was no Xayah. And we have seen Zazel play this really well this game.
Double Calvary, it's working well for DSG. But I think when you see the strength out of lane that Zazel presents, the combo with Tomio, right? This was a key factor to their championship last split. We talked so much about how as soon as Zazel got unlocked on the map with Tomio, it just became like you're playing a different team. And we're seeing that come alive here in the late season, in the late playoffs for DSG. And that gives you so much strength to play around, Darkwings, that you can just have easy decision making.
Yeah, I think the problem with what just happened is that they should have tried to involve Philip into the play, because he was up item as well. And I think they went a bit too fast on the mid lane.
Getting caught with the tempo. But, they have their own tempo gaming in the Action. We'll see if that comes alive anytime for them. We have some vision game being played here, but you want to check in now that we have full items. Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Check in on top lane because Philip died.
Oh.
Really
Well
feels
then.
like, yeah, I mean, it really feels like the last couple minutes, DSG's kind of blown up the map. They've caught JJ out twice, and they've turned it into so much.
I'm hoping we'll actually get a replay of that one, because that's a giant gold swing. First turret as well, and all the plays.
Darkwings, you're actually an Aatrox specialist yourself in the mid lane. So how are we rating Fake God's Aatrox so far? Oh, nice cancel.
It's looking good there. I mean, I think Philip overstepped a bit. It's a good punish. Oh, wow. Tier 2 instead.
Turret? That's insane. Okay, well, all of a sudden, from seemingly nothing, Disguised have a 3K gold lead. And the funniest part is a big majority of that is on Meech, but she wasn't even involved in those top lane plays. Fear do wake up, and they do get their first dragon of the game.
I think you trade this, though, as Disguise. Like, you just got such a big gold injection, and now you can see they're going to put Young in the bot side. Young simply goes safe in most side lanes here, as Perry's going to try and at least sneak for a play. Young able to sneak on out of there. Back forward, but I think the lead right now for the Blanc, given that she is ahead of the auction, feels like Shoshi just can't really get enough pressure down. And so Young's at least able to catch the waves. And it's not like Shochi's not winning in the side lane, it's just not winning hard enough to turn it into anything.
I do wonder. Darkwings, is JJ saying anything in the comms right now? Do you have any memory of what he'd be telling the team?
I'm not sure right now. I mean, they still need to win through a side, but it's hard now since they're 3v3 inside. It should be losing. They have to get like a Ziggs ulti in there before Sivir can rotate.
I also think just finding ways to make Philip part of the game plan here is the way to go for Fear if they want to find success here. You know, 20 CS in the lead, but also we've seen what he can do on the Renekton. He even took all that pressure earlier on as well. Fake God, though, looking to deal some pressure. Does have Fear ready to pounce on him, as Perry will go ahead and steal that Scuttle Crab and make sure he knows whose jungle this really is. Philip, though, you know, you got aggressive on the top side. You go bot, you're about to find it again. He does have the Dominus. TP's coming in. They're a little bit scared to try to take this one down. He is a big, scary crocodilian. They won't get the kill, but they will get the tower.
Honestly, really well played by Philip there. It still is a tower for DSG, but that's a lot invested. And
delayed tower.
I mean, you have a Ziggs, so I'm surprised that Manui's actually not walking up with his team, because he could walk up, try and get that wave in, and then actually base and empower TP back for free. But that's a nice moment. Overinvestment in the bot side there from Disguised, and you're getting a lot out of that, Darkwings.
Yeah, I agree. They didn't even take the tower yet. Bot lane. Even though it's 1 HP.
Actually kind of insane, the fact that we have that tower not go down, and then 2 responded immediately by Fear in the top and mid, and a little bit of gold where they need to. And now, especially looking at these next objectives and setup around them, you still have a while for that dragon, but I expect that vision from Fear towards this Baron to stay there, because DSG will have some strength in the pick-out potential around there, Cubby.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Fear is that they actually won on a side. As Philip, I mean, props to Philip. That was some good defense played on the bot side. Yeah, able to survive that, and then the itemization for Akshan, he is going completely for 1v1, as it is Orc into Wit's End.
What were you giggling about there, Darkwings?
I mean, it was just like Renekton stole all the he survived the dive 1v4. Pushed them out, saved the tower, and then also took their Grom or their Krugs.
The Krug.
Yeah.
Oh no.
The baby rocks, you know.
Yeah, the baby rocks.
The Krugos, as Cubby calls them.
Yeah, it was an easy.
Would you eat a cereal called Krugos, Darkwings?
Krugos. And if it gave me like 40 gold, yeah.
I love it. Always the mindset. Anyways, we are getting to those second item completions here for a majority of members. You got that Black Cleaver completed for Philip on the other side, the Serap's Gauge for Fake God. More importantly, though, that's Seraph's and the upgrade for Manui, while we get that Navori Quick Blades for Meech, Cubby.
Yeah, this is something where we did kind of talk about, I guess we didn't like fully talk about the scaling of this game, Darkwings, but I very much feel like Disguise has scaling advantage. I think their comp's a little bit easier to execute, but also I have more trust in the Sivir and Aatrox as this game goes on, even the Blanc in team fights. What is your read? It feels like Fear, again, just have to kind of play 1-3-1 and pray they are able to find wins off that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the DSG comp is going to be unkillable. I actually don't really like the Seraphs on Ziggs, because I feel like he needs more damage, and they just won't be able to kill like this Aatrox or Sejuani.
I agree, because like it sets behind. I feel like the real spike on Ziggs is like if you go 3-item glass cannon and your death cap void staff, it's so good. And we've seen quite a few Ziggs actually sit on the tier. I think Manui himself has done that before, so I'm kind of curious why I ended up going for the Seraphs. Maybe just scared of the Blanc one shot is probably because the Blanc is going to want to force Ziggs out. I think that's might be why Manui ended up going for that build this time around, but I do align with you that Ziggs is going to be behind now because of that. It's very good.
We got the Wits in completed there from
Young.
Shochi, but we get the fight kicking off here as well.
Wow.
Young getting out, but the beautiful grand entrance from JJ will reset the fight. Dragon is coming up. That's why all this pressure is going down in the mid lane, but Fear will have first presence around it. And this is a second Dragon for them, but a sole point for DSG if they get it, Cubby.
A lot of alts burned on each side. It's only Renekton and Akshan alt up, whereas the Rel and Aatrox ult up. I gotta say, it's more valuable for DSG, so they're gonna still want to fight. Zazel gets caught.
Whoa, Zazel caught out on the side, but here comes the rest of DSG. World Ender might be looking to do just that against Fear in this game 1. DSG have taken Fear's pole position around the Dragon, but they've got to be a little bit scared here. Come up, it's going to be used. Gets a poke down of Fake God, does literally nothing. And now we'll see actually Fear push back. This is a contested fight and know how important it can be for DSG here. With a lot of that decision-making power. Shochi going to try to catch out Young. He just did, and that's a big shutdown going right to the Shochi. We got the Dragon going over to Fear right after.
Manui is all up. That's it. As DSG get forced out. Darkwings. That was quite the start of the fight from Fear. I love the focus onto the Blanc. That initial chunk ended up being really big.
Yeah, I really thought DSG were gonna win that fight a lot harder. But Fear were able to get out safely. And then this re-engage. I think DSG were too split up.
Yeah, also
directed. That
Bork passive coming up big for Shochi. Getting the really everything that he needed to take down this LeBlanc as he did go for that side lane build, was able to find the 1v1. I think it's a good call out, Darkwings. Young, looking back at that one, likely will want to approach over the Dragon Wall or rejoin his team, as I think that's the adaptation I'm looking for from DSG. And what's that conversation like from DSG? Because you kind of said, like, hey, you expected them to win that fight. Like, what's the problem solving like going on right now from that? Like, is that something you think they're going to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, they need to find, like, they do need to find their angles, and
Trying to find any angle they can. Maybe take a geometry class. The Glacial Prison does go a little bit wide. See, DSG, we're just hunting. They're looking, and I think that's the strength of this DSG roster. We talked about it a little bit earlier. If they have control of vision, Young can find big catch-outs, but you also have that long-distance engage for them. But that does come to a bit of a caveat, right? Because when you were talking about it earlier, Cubby, a lot of the strength comes through Meech and Fake God as time goes on. Whereas I feel like Perry and the rest of Fear have a lot of strength right now and can work through that.
It is something where I will say that Saber with this build is going to be a lot less valuable in fights than if you went Kraken Slayer. So I think that I agree that the Shiv is a little bit overkill. Kraken Slayer is so valuable this game, going up against Renekton, Poppy, especially when you're Saber, because you're pretty much just hitting frontline. And Manui, if Manui gets a death cap, I think that Fear is waiting for death cap to push really hard. And the first two Dragons for Fear, just denying that from DSG, that's a pretty big deal. Like, Mountain Dragons individually, very, very powerful, especially when you are playing into something like LeBlanc.
It can be really strong. Darkwings, the way that Fear have approached this, we've seen back and forth in this game one already. Kind of what we would expect from two of our top teams in the upper finals, waiting to book a ticket to the Riot Games Arena. But I think the way that experience plays into this is really key. And I know you have a little bit of a track record with JJ, but especially coming off a championship last split, how much do you think that experience comes into a best of 5 here when you're looking at Fake God, Tomio, and Zazel?
I know the experience is a lot. Like, when you're gonna be stressed out, like, as a team, you still have to make, like, the calm, rational decisions. And if you don't have that experience, I think you could just blow up the game by yourself.
I believe that decision-making does come key here. DSG pushing Shochi out of the mid lane a little bit. I do like this move from Fear, though. They're starting to get their roaming death squad together. Although we aren't seeing as much presence in the side lane that I feel like we typically see, it is still that answer available for Fear in the action, going for the side lane pressure. It's a bit of a downtime moment, though, and I think when we talked so much about the championship status of majority members of DSG, it is also a fact where a majority of these players as a whole, out of the 10, are fighting for a first opportunity at a live final, right? It's something along the lines of, career expectations going down, Cubby.
5 out of 10 of our players have played in a final before. But of course, the other 5, not only that, but also just playing in the Riot Games arena on that LCS stage, something that everyone strives for if you want to be a pro, right? So the fact that you can book that ticket now and not have to fight over another best of 5 to do so against what I will say is a rather scary lower bracket opponent in either FlyQuest or EG is I think, honestly, a very big deal. But we are 1 minute away from the Dragon, as it looks like Shochi's actually going for that Rage Blade build. Do you have any thoughts on that one, Darkwing?
Hey, Rage Blade is it's always a good item if you can hit, but it does make you pretty squishy.
Yeah.
And as opposed to some other items. He has the Wit's End, he has the Mercs. Honestly, it's one pretty good.
It is one where I could also see a 4th item BT to just kind of drain tank everything. Do you think am I being a little bit too outlandish there, or do you think that might be something that Shochi looks for later?
I don't think we got time for that, gentlemen. I think we're just getting into a fight here as well. Shochi can use the swing, but you got the come up. It's being used. Young going for Manui. Manui can't get over the wall. You've got a DSG trying to take this front to back, though, and it's Perry who takes down first, who gets taken down first. And that is actually huge because a majority of your front line is now gone for Fear. You don't have a lot to play through. It's a little bit tricky, though, for this guys because Tomio's so low. So I think DSG are almost trying to go towards the Baron to see if they can get Fear to walk too far into them. Yeah, they're gonna look at Young. He does so much to Manui, and it's just all poke. Although Fake God gets locked down, all of his health bar gone. We see some of that fight back from Fear. There are empowered TPs on the soul laners, but Tomio being low, that's the danger right now for DSG. They're going to try and reset. Let's see if Fear can guess this. I love that ward from JJ, because if they don't see him on the Baron, they might be able to sprint towards the Dragon and get their soul point. They are going towards this Dragon, so quick decision-making from Fear here, Darkwings, and I think that's a sign of good times.
Yeah, if they get this Dragon, they'll be in such a better spot.
They can get it here. I actually see DSG coming down. Tomio might well look for a steal. Fight. I really, Tomio. They've stalled it out. Oh, we got another 5v5. There's the flashes coming in. The Glacial Prison is used. Crash down, locked down from that, but it's not going to be enough. Young already goes down too, and it's huge damage from the poke of Manui. Tomio going to Philip, and the monster has woken up. The scythe is gleaned, and Fear with a triple kill to Philip will strike down Disguise.
Manui, he flashed into the Glacial Prison, but that still bought enough space where they couldn't attack the Ziggs through the Poppy Darkwings, as Fear, they have the marksman up still. They're just gonna port it and take the Baron.
Yeah, this angle is so good actually by Fear. All of DSG were coming in, and Poppy stopped the engage.
That was huge from Perry. That's a good call out there. Manui, that flashback, yeah, he gets hit by it, but Perry bought so much space, and the death ball was able to start and continue.
Steadfast presence, man. It does work against this composition. And all of a sudden, the Turo Baron buff alive and well for Fear. They're back onto the map. They have so much strength. And I'm just going to call out, yes, that's a lot of damage for me. Oh my God. But the man himself, Philip, on this Renekton, I think has been just an incredible beast every time we see him able to grab this one out. It's something you have to start respecting because he just looks like a different animal on it, Cubby. It's been his pick through playoffs. It's also a deny from Fake God, who has been so good on this champion throughout the year or two. But I do want to Return of the Dragon. He's actually been started. Shoshi doesn't have that in power TP, so DSG will have numbers here. Okay, they're going to just go for the engage, though. Zazel.
Oh, Zazel just one shot.
They're in the pit now, too. Fake God's got the World Ender, but he's got to be a little careful as Perry's looking for it. Tomio's on the other side. Can he get in there and steal it? He doesn't. Perry secures the third Mountain Soul and Mountain Dragon in a row. And it's Tomio who's just left out in the dust there by himself. Fear have come alive. Fear have found a 6.5k gold lead, and they're running away with this game number 1. Perry is playing out of his mind on this Poppy, man. Like, knocking away Tomio was so clutch there. It gave him a 4v4, and Fear made the most of it, Darkwings.
Yeah, no. It seems now that DSG is actually the one liking damage, and they can't break through this Poppy and Renekton.
There's still no LDR on Sivir, as Meech has gone for the PD. That's a very efficient item on Sivir with that W. You can really get that one going, but now going for the BT, so it literally is going to be that 6-item Sivir Dream here. So Fear would love to take as many objectives as they can. And also, Manui's level 18. Look at Young.
That's a lot of damage right there. Young gonna have to back away. They're losing both turrets at the same time. Not gonna lose the inhibs just yet. Philip, he's a bit caught out here. Does have the Sterix Gauge and the rest of his team coming. That Keeper's Verdict is gonna go wide. JJ's going in, trying to save his top laner, but a shutdown goes straight to Meech. Nice little knockback from the Disaster Charge, but JJ will join his friend in the Death Realm, and that is Fear getting punished for an overstay.
Yeah, punished for the power of friendship too. I think I saw Philip like use both these, and I was like, all right, he's dead. I think letting the Renekton go there might have been the right call. They could have gotten that bot inhibitor instead, Darklings, but DSG able to get a little bit of gold back in their pockets, and that is big because a death cap on the block, and also Sivir getting to that 4 or 5 item mark does make things quite a bit scarier for Fear.
Yeah, definitely stalling out. They can stall it a bit with the Sivir wave clear. But they still need to find the angles on Shochi and Manui for these fights.
Yeah. That it's really tough to do, like, when you're losing sides as well. And that is something I do want to give some credit to Fear to. I feel like Philip has done a nice job of getting side waves in far enough so that it has really taken away some of those angles from DSG. So is that one where you feel like Aatrox is just behind? I don't think LeBlanc can match either. Almost like going back through the tape for Disguise to try and see if they can take more side lanes, I think might be the answer here. Darklings, it feels like kind of some of the consequences of them grouping up so much.
Yeah, the problem is right now LeBlanc can't even win side. She's just down items, and it's scary to walk into an Akshan when you don't know where he is. You can just be chunked to half and just you can even die.
Yeah, that build for Akshan 2 going for the Cleaver, rather curious. I do want to shout out, Meech actually sold his Vamp Scepter and one-shot an LDR. So the goal that Meech got in that last fight was really significant, because that LDR is going to really take power away from the Poppy and the Renekton. So I think BT is actually really scary for Fear if that gets picked up by Meech. Meech has to be the big focus in these fights, as Darklings was saying. Side laner is behind for DSG, but Meech could be that late-game hero, because we have seen him be for DSG before.
Yeah, we've seen him come up big time and time again, especially in recency for DSG. But you gotta look how Fear's Siege is going to go down. A lot of the strength they have is that poke Manui can lay down and the item spike that he has. They're just going to find Tomio out, but not going to do a lot of damage there. He's pretty tanky at this point. Philip looking at the side lane here, though, trying to get this inhib down. You have to wonder how they're going to try to crack this one open. I feel like DSG actually have a pretty strong defense in their favor.
Trade from Fake God onto Philip. Do you like this setup, this formation from Fear right now, Darklings? Like, would you change anything on the map between these two teams?
I'd say it's good. Oh, they just need to be able to hit, but it's kind of hard right now.
As soon as you get the engage, though, it makes it that much harder as DSG find the wombo combo. Zazel won't even go down in the end either, and not having JJ and Perry means that Philip's your only front line.
They waited for Poppy to burn the W, and then Zazel was able to flash and re-engage. I think it's a great call and identification from DSG. Keep an eye on this one, Perry. That W's down. Not able to pop it during this fight. Zazel gets the lockdown. You can see the damage that Meech pumps out now. As we did kind of tease Darklings that Slate Game Saver is really the saving grace for DSG. If you have the space to auto like that, you can see the damage that the Saver is capable of.
Yeah, and Fear weren't really connected for that play. The moment they split up, DSG just went in.
The amount of damage Meech is going to have in this game, I gotta see the stats afterwards. This is going to be absolutely insane. But it fits so well because, again, he is the saving grace right now for DSG.
No shot they're trading Soul for Baron. I mean, Perry's way behind on this. Is there an opportunity DSG get both?
They're going to try to burn this one down. It looks like they will be successful here unless Perry can find an in. The dragon already started up, and that is the Mountain Soul to Fear as that trade does come down.
What do you think about this one, Darkwings?
I think, well, DSG now they have to or they want to be able to break open inhibs at least on this push with the Baron. Because after that, Fear will just be favored.
I don't know if they can break it. Meech went for GA, so he doesn't have that BT. So if he eats poke, then I'm going to assume he has maybe a point in lifesteal. Like maybe he has Legend Bloodline, which could help him. I haven't looked out for that
He'll
yet.
probably have it.
Yeah, on Sivir, it's a good take. But oh, Shochi.
Gonna take a little bit of damage from Tomio, but Tomio takes a lot more back. All right, and that's not an even trade in the end. Young getting caught in transition here a little bit, getting bursted down, and just like that, into the crocodile's mouth goes Young.
Oh my God, Poppy Ziggs, man, these Yordles are too OP.
LeBlanc can't even do anything. I guess he had to flash out the moment she saw that.
Wow.
Yeah, the wallbang is too much. You never expect how long you're actually stuck there and the amount of damage that can come down. Especially with the range that Manui has presented, and that's that versatility we talked about coming into the game, being represented in full strength by Fear in this game number 1, Cubby.
I'm really impressed by Fear this game. Like, I felt like the game was really getting out of their grasp when JJ got caught twice, but Shochi was behind. This really isn't the type of game you want when you do pick Akshan, but I really have to give credit to Perry and Manui. Philip, I think that JJ has stepped it up in the back half of this game too, but man, Perry, like that 1-4-8 scoreline, it really doesn't give enough credit to the kind of impact that Poppy has had on this game.
I think a lot of the strength comes just from that decisiveness that Perry wants to have for his team. It's something he's talked about holistically since he joined this roster but last year, but especially the fact that we get to see that strength continue to be a forefront for Fear. On the other side, though, Darkwings, we got to check in because we were talking so much about that experience coming through. We've seen Zazel find some really clutch engages, especially that defense in the base, but it's got to continue to be there. And do you see any strength from them trying to pull apart the map?
For DSG, at least, it's going to be hard right now. They're just going to siege top inhib, and you have to look for a fight here, or else I think you're just going to slowly lose. They have to find a good angle. Yeah.
The double cavalry comp, trying to find something here. It is a final inhib in the eyes of Fear. You got Young dealing with the side lane pressure of those super minions right now. Does have the TP to come join. Also can just get here a little bit quicker. One big fell swoop from Fear might just mean this game number 1 goes their way, as Tomio knocked away. That inhib turret goes down, and that just means open season for Fear.
You can see how far back Manui's flying. And I do want to give Fear credit. They've actually taken away TP flanks from LeBlanc. I feel like that's really important for them this game, Darklings. Just making sure that Ziggs can't be pressured from any of these angles. And any autos that Ziggs is able to connect on these turrets are going to hit very hard. Shout out to our observers. There is the one ward that's behind Shochi in mid lane if Fear decides to set up there, but at the moment it is Bloons tower defense with Sivir.
Are we subscribing to the Blues tower defense style here?
I got a chuckle out of Darklings. That's a win for me.
Yeah, that works. TP's coming in though, and that's the big angry Croc, and that means the grand entrance kicks it all off. The dominance into everyone here as well. Philip tanking up a lot, but he's got to flash out as well. You got a lot of fight back from DSG. That's the strength when they get together as a comp, and Meech is able to fire away.
Watch that ward behind Fear. DSG could look to push here.
Doesn't look like that'll be the case this time around. Need to defend the base a little bit more so. Double super minions crashing in the bottom side because of that wave stacking. And they just have to defend here, Cubby.
That's the last one, though. After this, it's fine for DSG. As Darkwings, this... do we see Sivir swap out any items? I feel like she has enough gold. That Shiv is overkill.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he's thinking that he still needs the Shiv. Oh. Yeah, maybe even the boots can be swapped out too, if he has enough gold.
I think boots for Kraken Slayer could be a nice call, as I still think the item just does way too much damage. We are in the late game stages, and I think double mountain or double monster objectives spawning here. Elder going to take precedent, as it is Elder. What kind of formation do you want to see in this next fight? Like I feel like DSG has to find a way to get LeBlanc on the Ziggs, but without Poppy being in the way.
Yeah, she needs to come and poke the Ziggs out. I don't think she can even one-shot him right now because of the Sarah shield and the Mountain Soul.
Yeah.
But she still needs to like make him feel threatened and not be able to DPS. I think Fear wants to just front to back.
How fitting is it that we are going to go to our longest game of the playoffs so far in two of our top teams fighting for a ticket to the Riot Games Arena in a live final. I love it. Both teams putting everything into this one. We've seen backs and forths of the gold lead, and now DSG feeling a little bit confident moving out. They have a lot of the pick out tools. They got to be careful because the damage lies in Fear's hand here, Cubby.
Yeah, it does, but like the base defense that Meech has been able to put up in this Sivir is just so scary in the later stages. You got another W out of carry. Here we go.
Zazel flashes the Cloud9 emote there. He's going to try to get some good engage, but that Mega Inferno Bomb does some work.
Meech is
Get
safe.
the nice double Keeper's Verdict right back, and Fear have the reset.
If Young would have been hit by that Steadfast Presence, that LeBlanc would have died, but that's a lot of damage that Fear's taking. They're going to push to the Baron. Could this be a trade? They're contested. They're going straight for the Elder.
No way. No
we can't trade
way.
this.
Darkwing, what is this chaos?
They have to run at the Elder, I think.
And try to sprint there as Perry will enable
Oh,
that
no.
one, but Elder's already going down. You got to think which one's the stronger
gone.
beast here, as they cannot get there. The burn is enough in disguise. It's a little bit slow in the back end. Perry, he's looking over. He can't get it. Tobio secures it, and now DSG with this Elder feeling confident, but they'll back off to get back to their base.
I mean, we're going to have... I honestly, we're going to get two Elders here, Darkwings. I don't know if they can end on this Elder. The Fear don't have to give them the fight, and they have Barons to just push waves in. Never that DSG fight on this. We're going to have a round 2 Electric Boogaloo, man, as, yeah, they might have the Turo Baron buff. They don't want to get breathed fire on by DSG. We're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, this is Fear's gonna have to try to stall out even more. This game's just gonna keep going longer and longer at this point.
DSG, with Elder, they can force them off. I think that the big thing that DSG figured out, they're just waiting to bleed Perry's Steadfast Presence, and then Zazel is going.
Yep.
2 times that DSG has found a really big fight, a really big engage for them, has been after the Poppy W and Zazel flashing in. So, Fear, they have Baroned up creeps, but Sivir melts them at this point, and they cannot fight DSG while they have Elder on their shoulder. So Fear, they are now the ones playing Women's Tower Defense, trying to keep these minions away. And man, this has just been a wild game 1.
I'll just say, you're starting to feel the confidence radiate out of DSG as well. Zazel flashing the emote as he's going in the engage. This is where that experience we tied to earlier can start coming in clutch, right? You're waiting out abilities. You have to stay steadfast in the moment, and Zazel has done that just yet. They still have the Elder.
Yeah,
JJ, you might have forgotten as the clap of the Elder wings comes and claims your life.
Really nice R there from Zazel. The walk-up, JJ couldn't press the E out. It should lead to a couple more turrets falling, but again, I don't think it's going to be game-ending by any means here, Darkwings.
Yeah, I mean, Server's already has been 6 items for quite a while.
Yeah, that Elder is also 3/4 of the way expired. You can see Young even like pushing past that wall just to try and find Manui, as Tomio does go low.
Tomio getting a lot of damage done. The poke is starting to come out.
He's got ult
here, feeling pretty confident. There's that Mega Inferno Bomb going to be gotten away from by DSG. They have gotten what they came for, got some turrets, got some extra. Ooh, Young going to have to flash. Perry's so fast.
Had the red buff there on the buckler, which was rather nice, as DSG.
They're
going to lose inhibitors. No, they're going to lose inhibitors for this. This is really good from Shochi, I think. Just chasing them all the way back, forcing them to walk. It's at least going to be 1 dropped, and that Elder has expired. So I don't think Fear will push for another, as they are going to lose that Turo Baron buff. But we're going to try and do this again. But this time around, Baron will spawn a minute plus earlier compared, or not a minute. Oh, okay.
Oh, it's like 15 seconds.
Oh no!
Flips.
That's it.
I want the flips. I want the craziness. DSG do need to just hold on, though, right? I think we're getting to a point. Everybody's going to have full items here coming up very, very soon. We are in our longest game yet. We're buckled in for the ride, but DSG looking for more siege on the back end of resets from Fear.
Philip swapped out his Gore Drinker for Radiant Virtue. Thoughts on that one, Darkwing? I mean, this is a wild game state we're in. This is really...
Not really sure, honestly.
Me neither. That's why I'm defaulting to you.
It's almost 50 minutes in. We don't know what's going on anymore. It's just craziness. I also, something we didn't ever mention, but I love the double anathemas chains from Fear.
Yep.
It's been a while there. But maybe
Same
some of
for
that
DSG.
utility going to start coming in clutch when everybody's bare even in these big team fights.
No more boots for Meech. He does have an RFC that's now turned into a Kraken Slayer, so he was deciding. He has the wealth of gold to spend. And I expect to see everyone potted up now walking out of base. I don't see enough pots on DSG right now. Meech and Young have theirs running, but I really want to see Zazel, Tomio, and Fake God buy. Everyone should have those elixirs running before we have this next monster objective fight.
Yeah, I think we should be looking at who can push out the others like deep into their jungle, because then you get to decide which buff you want.
DSG actually kind of fishing here. You definitely want the Elder. That is the buff you want. It's just, can you control it?
You
Yeah.
don't want a third Baron, fourth Baron, whatever it is at this point.
I'm sorry, Turo, but the Elder Dragon. We love our sponsors, but we want Elder.
You see, if you push them deep into their base, then you can get both, where you can kind of see which side they're going to, and then you can kind of react and then fight them in their jungle.
This is where I really like the mid lane wards. Like that blue ward that Zazel has down, I actually want to see JJ and Fear get a ward there to see if DSG enter the top side or bot side through the entrance. And I feel like this is the time of the game where those mid wards can be really powerful for what Darkling's just described.
We're almost 50 minutes in, and this is only game one of a very decisive best of 5. Again, a ticket to a live finals lies on the other end for the victor. And something in the minds of every single one of these players on the Rift, and also the fact that it's just game one. We're having such a stressful time. It just means you got to buckle in for a long series here. That DSG, though, it is nice to see their confidence back on the map yet again.
Looks like they're going to use...
Oh, that's not good. They're going to get caught out here. That's a bit of a big catch out onto Fake God. He's tanking up a ton, but that's not going to be enough. Perry missing that Keeper's Verdict, but isn't going to matter. Magnustor back in. DSG are pushing the emergency buttons. Luckily, they get up, but that is the Baron gone. They're going to try to make the split play.
It's gonna be the same.
Go Elder!
They learned. They learned.
Shochi.
Oh, that's
They're in
huge!
so much
That's game,
trouble
that's game,
here.
that's game.
That could just
That
be
is
game. The big catch out, and it's already your big gun gone. Meech is down, and Fear have their eyes on the Nexus. They just need a little bit of push. They're getting the resets out for Manui and for Shochi to get the TPs back.
No,
Get
that's
the
it.
double TP back in. And this is Fear looking for the final touches. The Elder Dragon sleeps so whimsically as this game, almost a 50-minute banger, is looking like the final touches here. Shochi and Manui are the ones to watch. They do a lot of damage, as well as Young getting caught out. He goes golden. There's not enough defense for DSG. They're starting to fall down like dominoes. And Fear, they were stressing this entire time. They had some trials and tribulations before the series, but they showed DSG that they need to be respected. Game one, a drag-out fight goes to Cincinnati Fear.
I really want to see how Meech got picked there. The Sivir can't go down. That is the game. Like once Sivir goes down, that's all the wave clear. That's the power. Meech trying to fight that wave as they were playing those double monster objectives, but props to Fear. That last fight, they got huge chunks on the DSG. Able to find Meech. That just wrapped things up, Darklings. There's nothing to do when Sivir goes down. That's the linchpin of this comp later.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she was definitely hard carrying all these fights. She needed to stay alive.
What happens, though, stress might get to you. That is our game number one. We're going to step away for a short little break. On the other side, we'll have a Rally Cry halftime show with Sierra.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. Find your drive.